Hey everyone, welcome back to another powerful Women's History Month live stream. I'm Amber, the Range Doula, and founder and owner of Gale's Futuristic Fire. And today I'm honored to have Jessica Hazelaar, the CEO of Eclipse Holsters, joining us again. Tonight we're diving in even deeper, talking about entrepreneurship, leadership, and the impact of women in the firearms industry. Jessica is a trailblazer in this space, and I can't wait for you all to hear more of her journey. And of course, we're celebrating Women's History Month with a giveaway. Winners will receive a custom holster and magazine pouch sent from Eclipse Holsters. To enter, all you have to do is like, comment, and share either the original event flyer or Instagram in this live stream. We'll pick winners from those usernames, so be sure to participate. If you're watching on Instagram, head over to my YouTube channel at the Amber GJ for the best viewing experience. Drop your questions in the chat, engage with us, and let's get into it. Hi.
Hi, Amber. Thanks for having me back.
Yes, welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes. How are you feeling?
I am feeling great. I feel better the second time around, thinking back to some of the answers I gave and just our chat originally. I love the relationship we're building together, and I'm just excited to be here again with you and understanding even more of what we get to build into with women in this industry. So it's a passion of mine. It's a passion of yours, and I love that we've found each other. So.
Yes, I'm so glad we found each other too. Yeah. And women, we need each other in this industry for sure.
We do. We have to. We're always in a pack anyways. We need each other even in this industry.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and hop right into it.
Okay.
Since we last met, I've been thinking a lot about your story, how you founded Eclipse Holster. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking to myself, what's one moment that made you say, this is exactly what I'm meant to do?
Ooh. I think that's a great question, because I can tell you for a very long time, I think I talked to you last time about imposter syndrome. I felt it every single day building this company. At first, I wasn't meaning to build a company. I was just making holsters for myself and holsters for friends. Truly, my husband and I have talked about owning our own company since we first got married. It's been 28 years. So we've always dreamt of having something that was ours where we didn't have to work the traditional job. This sort of accidentally grew. And then I felt like I didn't belong, and I was definitely not in the right space, and I didn't know enough, and didn't know what I was doing. And I kept feeling like somebody at some point was going to go, aha, you don't know what you're doing. So I can say it was probably 6 or 7 years into it before I felt like I actually believed in myself. I love making holsters. It's really fun working with your hands. I love the tools that I get to use. I loved crafting things and sort of like figuring out. I was really good at manipulating Kydex. I love working from home. I was able to be with my kids while I was doing that. So all of the other things about owning a business felt really right to me. I just didn't think I had a place in the industry. So 6 or 7 years in, for sure, before I believed in myself enough to know that I was worthy to stand on the same floor at SHOT Show as anybody else in this industry. And it took guts. And I still fight imposter syndrome now. I think I fight it in different ways of thinking maybe I'm not able to lead a team of 20, or I'm not in a position to speak on that particular subject in a large room with other leaders. So it changes where your comfortable level is. I absolutely know how to make holsters, and I know we make great holsters. So I got that part down. It's the rest of it now that I'm, constantly reminding myself I do belong. And I think that's a pretty relatable thing to a lot of people, and we just don't talk about it enough. But I think a lot of people in business walk around thinking, I just don't want anybody to actually find out that I don't really know what I'm doing. You fake it, and you figure it out through all your mistakes. But
right.
It was years to try to answer your question. It was years and years. before I felt like I could stand shoulder to shoulder against anybody else that makes holsters. And I absolutely know what I'm talking about. So the rest of it, we're still figuring out.
No, and you're doing a beautiful job. And it's from what I can see and what I've learned, you're doing it so gracefully. And congratulations on 20 plus years of marriage. That is no small feat. And it's so important for us as women to have very supportive partners who are encouraging us to, get out and get it. Go out there and get it. So I, commend you and your husband for doing this amazing work. So
thank you. Yeah, we definitely built it together. And our kids, through high school, I don't want to say they suffered through the beginnings of a business, but they probably did. 16-hour days, there's a tricky time when a hobby becomes a business, and it's not a very clear pattern of when that happens. And then it's very long after that you decide you need to hire people. So your family does take a huge sacrifice in it. My husband, he actually taught me most of the knowledge that I have just about firearms now. And then we, built Eclipse, and then we built a distribution company out of Eclipse that's called Holster Builder, and he completely manages that. And now we have, we actually have 3 businesses that we build together, and we're still happily married. So that is a big win.
Very big win.
Yeah.
Very big win.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. And
Thank
of
you.
course, we all experience this, changes and shifts especially, with our parents as they go and achieve new ventures. It can be challenging when they do so when we are in those pivotal years. But I honestly do believe, especially as a daughter of 2 entrepreneurs, I do believe that they've learned a lot from you all about leadership. And discipline. So I commend you both for that. You mentioned the process of shifting from hobby to a full business. As your business grows, how do you maintain your original vision while also innovating?
I can tell you for our specific situation, I was absolutely blessed to be in a position as a mother of 4 where I did not have to work. So I could grow something, and my husband was full-time working outside of the home. But he completely supported what I was doing at home to try to, I didn't even really know what I was doing when I first started. It was keeping me busy, and I was excited to learn something totally new. I fell in love with guns. And so then to be able to work with them was pretty exciting for me, but slowly to grow a business. I mean, I don't think I took an income for 7 years. I had employees before that, but I didn't actually take an income, and the business wasn't making money. But it was for myself, some of that success definitely came from me being able to build it, and Joseph, my husband, being able to build it in the afternoon and evening hours together while he still had a full-time job outside. We get to talk to a lot of other holster makers. So I'll speak just specifically for this, part of the industry.
Yeah.
We get to speak to a lot of holster makers because we own Holster Builder, which is the supply company. So we are dealing direct business to business. And we get to talk to a lot of people who it is the male that's running the company. Typically holster makers are men. And so they're working a full-time job, and then they're coming home and trying to fulfill orders of 100 a week or something. Right. And that balance there is I would say it might even be an 18-month period where you are wrestling with yourself internally, you're wrestling with your family, you're wrestling with what do your friends think, and all these other things of like, am I actually going to make this a full-time business and quit what I'm doing? And it's absolutely terrifying. So I felt like we had a unique situation in just the sense that I was being able to build it from at home while he was still working. And then there was, when we decided to go all in, he quit his job and immediately paid himself in like income from Eclipse, exactly what he had been making at this very successful job. And he wrote it into his pay as though he was going to make it the next month. And it scared the heck out of us. And I think that fear is what now propelled us for the next 6 years. So fear, not willing to quit. Like, what else are we going to do? We just went all in. We got to do it. So, and then learning along the way, learning about marketing, learning about, how to speed things up and listening to our customers. And like, it's just been a very long journey. I don't think there's ever the perfect time for everybody, but you got to listen to what's going on in your business and your family, and all of it plays a part. So.
No, I definitely thank you for that, because you sort of touched on my next question, and that's like a major lesson you have to learn when you're balancing faith, leadership, and balance overall in life. When you're starting a business, especially a business where women are not, the majority in leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for sharing that. As a woman in this space, what are some challenges that you've faced that have actually ended up being an advantage?
Creativity. Not so here's an advantage. First of all, I didn't actually know a whole lot about holsters and about design and about the way they had to function. So I actually didn't know the rules that everybody followed. And then I learned the rules, and I was like, well, why does it have to be that way? I recently had I've had multiple surgeries. So there was periods of time where I could not even comfortably carry a holster in any position that would be the standard typical carrying place. So I think my advantage and I don't even think there's absolutely nothing at a disadvantage about being a woman. You just have to change the dialogue.
Yes, absolutely.
So, right. So what I did was I just came in and said, well, why? Well, why does it have to be that way? Why can't you do this? Why? Well, okay, I get that's the rule, but why? And let's do it different. And then, well, I don't want to just overly talk, but I want to touch on something that you asked me last week or last time we chatted. And this kind of just ties right in there, because you asked me what was one piece of advice that I've learned, that I wish I knew then that I know now. And I thought about that a lot after we got off, and I actually have such a better answer. And this plays into answering this question as well. I listened to all the noise for a very long time. I followed all the other holster makers. I studied what people did. I studied the way they cut their holsters. I studied the height of a sweat guard, and I studied all these things. And then I tried to make it all fit into what I was doing. And then custom prints became available. And I wanted to put flowers on holsters, and I wanted to offer pink and purple and green and orange and red washers instead of just black. Everything was black.
Yes.
And so I did it. I did it, and I pushed it, and I decided we're going to make a name for Eclipse holsters, but it's going to be something totally different. We're putting stars, we're putting, whatever people want. And I think I was doing that for about 2.5 years. And then I got a message from somebody that I highly respected, possibly still do, but in the industry, who actually wrote a formal letter and asked me to agree with it, which was interesting. And basically it said, don't you agree that anybody that carries a holster that is funky print or pink or whatever shows that they're less serious about concealed carry? And it actually shows the clientele of the people that you're selling to. And I was so insulted, and so insulted for my customers, because how dare you think that somebody that wants my fairy tale print, which is so cool, has any less mental seriousness about their own safety and the safety of their family. And I was and that changed something in me. It snapped something. And I thought, you know what? I'm done. I started to unfollow, and it wasn't, nobody was making me follow. You follow whoever you want on social media. But what I did was I turned down the outside noise. And I think that's what I would encourage people to do. And what I wish I would have known sooner. I was comparing what I was doing to everybody else that I saw in the market, and sort of keeping that as the balance as to what, am I on the right path? Am I doing what is right? And man, when I just turned the noise down, and I knew that this was the passion and the route that we wanted to take. And I absolutely want people to be able to put whatever they want on their holster. And it does not diminish in any way their seriousness in carrying. It doesn't show anything about your character other than you like a cool color or cool, it does the rules. So we just broke down the walls of the rules.
Yeah.
And now my social media is filled with dogs and I don't know, funny cat videos. And I don't even see other holster makers. And my blinders are on. And that is my encouragement to other people. You got to stop comparing, and you got to, like I'd say, the noise, turn down the noise, turn down everything else that's distracting you from what God already put inside you to do in your business. And that has changed my mental health, and that's changed my passion for my customers. The little inklings and little stirrings that we get on the inside, where I was like, that's a really cool idea. Let's do it. Let's put a holster in a fanny pack. The industry says you should not carry that way. But you know what? There's a lot of women out there that want to put on a fanny pack, push a stroller. They just had a baby. And so we're making a way for them to be able to do it. And I just don't listen anymore. Actually, people aren't really talking the way they used to, at least not to my direction. So, but anyways,
No,
that's the answer for that's a long answer, but that's what I want to say.
That was great. I'm so thankful that you shared that, because I have a similar story with someone that I respected. And, I won't get into it because this is not my interview. You know what I'm saying? But comparison is the thief of joy.
It is.
And oftentimes the people who are actually intimidated by you and what you're doing and the power that you have are the ones that are going to instill fear in you so that you stop what you're doing and stop what you're called to do. So I'm so glad that you did not internalize that, because I'm tired of seeing black and camo and gray too. I'm tired, even red sometimes.
Yeah, I am glad too. And I mean, I'm on the other end of that chunk of chapters. It took years for me to, I guess, believe that nobody was going to come into my shop and be like, aha, we knew it. You don't know what you're doing. It's like, who's going to call me out? You feel like that in anything that you do that is new, maybe. I felt like that as a mom. Good grief. None of us know what we're doing. But I'm really thankful. And, it's years of being fed by other leaders, not just in the gun industry, but just finding leaders that are pouring into you, and then just kind of focusing on like, this is what my calling is. This is what our calling is. It doesn't have to look like anybody else's. And a lot of people out there tell us they actually really like what we're doing. So we're just going to keep listening to that. So.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing like the fullness of your story, because that's what we need. Otherwise, it just seems like there's these imaginary gates for entry, and it's really not. I mean, there are gatekeepers, and there's a level of inquiry that you need to have, different things, certifications, regardless of like the type of position you're interested in. But at the end of the day, what you're doing with your story right now is empowering women who are watching to remember that just because there's a learning curve, that does not mean that you should not try. Yeah. So
I agree with that. And the learning curve really doesn't go away, because I heard a great podcast years ago, but she said, new levels, new devils. Yes. And I've often remembered that. And it's so true, because now what I'm working on are things that, have nothing to do with the holster process. We've got that all narrowed down and squared away, but I have a learning curve into something different, and a learning curve into marketing, and a learning curve into relationship building, and just so many different things that aren't there they're not your main focus when you're first starting something. I still am on the learning curve of how to make a printer talk to the right computer in the shop. And I don't want to I haven't figured it out yet, but that's not on my job. So, but there's things that I will never master, and that's one of them. So.
Yes. And some things just aren't meant to be mastered, right? Yeah. One thing about it, you're definitely standing in the sort of gap on that thin line between innovation and things that are just never change. Like a Glock 44 holster will always fit a Glock 44, right? But if you're changing colors and you're offering different cuts for lights and optics and things of that nature, you are innovating. And, some things may never change, but what should, have some wiggle room is our ability to be creative in the things that, protect us, that make us feel safe.
That's right. I completely agree with that. Thankfully Glock is boring and really doesn't ever change. So the holster's simple. And it's
Yes.
funny because people say, "Oh, you took my Glock design." Nobody takes Glock. There's no design. It's just a square. It's so simple. What you do with it on your end is what makes it stand out and be different. And I think in the holster world and clothing world and in all the different businesses that are out there, people really fall in love with the story. That's what they want, because you can go buy a Glock holster anywhere, but why are you choosing to buy a Glock holster from this person or this person? And that's where the personal side comes in, telling the story. And then those are the people you can get behind. So
Yes.
I do think that women should step more into the gun industry and start being part of the design of some of these guns. I pick up a lot of guns and we test fit a lot of holsters, and most of them do not fit my hand in any way that you would want them to fit. So I would love to see that as a breakthrough when the companies are designing new things and they say that they're for women, but they're all designed by men. I think women need to burst our way into that and start being for women, designed by women.
Oh, absolutely. And that might be a little tap on me because I have taken an interest in firearms engineering, and it's, using 3D CAD and things of that nature. That's literally what's necessary to be able to innovate in this space. It's just a matter of, meeting the right people and, getting your application in front of somebody who actually wants to allow a woman into that engineering space to create those type of designs. Because at the end of the day, women are the largest growing population of gun owners. And if the industry itself does not shift to ensure that there are firearms that are meant to have them have a competitive, especially for competitive shooters, and also self-defense advantage, that could harm them in the long run, especially as long as women are continuing to grow as firearms owners.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere. And like you said, it's just increasing more and more and you're playing a big role in this with the amount of training that you're doing and all the things that are being offered to women, where there's an environment for there to be a very unintimidating learning, in space for learning at the range or, educational things beyond that. So you are also playing a huge role in that. And we just need more people like us.
Well, I thank you for that little shout out. Think about it is like when I see women like you doing your thing, it helps me to be a little bit more vocal about championing other women in the industry. Because I can also say, like, you can get trained by a woman, you can buy her a holster that's made by a woman. Those are like very streamlined ways that we can continue to support women in the industry.
Right.
So what are some other ways that you uplift and support other women in this space?
In this space specifically, I think turning down the noise, like I told you, and then making genuine relationships with the people who just like, women are great. We're complimentary. Everybody wants to be told they look good, or like, and just making a point to do that. I've been to SHOT Show now, I think 6 times, and it is just massive. It's the largest industry show in the country for all things firearms. And you can go in there and be like one woman in every 100 man that's walking around, but you find your little group of women and be part of these things that are going on. And it is a space full of like cheerleaders. And I don't mean it in like a silly way. I mean it in like, these women are banding together in every city to go before their city councils and before the leaders of their town to actually make changes about gun laws and to make it be where it's inclusive to women in a safer place, but also we're the mothers, we're the mother bear the fiercest things over our children, and we also want to be included in these things that are going on. And so to find that, and I search for that all over. We have women's groups here, we have women's firearms trainings that go on. There's some right outside of our city that I live in, and I just donate stuff. Anybody that reaches out and says, hey, I want you to be, or is there any way that we could offer your holsters at our range? We just say, how many would you like? We're sending them all. We're sending samples. We want people to try and to be able to test everything that's on the market, even if they don't choose from us. To support women means you don't have to come into a massive store. Let me give you all the options that you could possibly feel all at once, and then go home and make the decision after you've Googled 700 other places, because we know that's what women do. You got to talk about it and you got to, ask all the questions. So however I can support, it doesn't ever even have to be a sale. It's just, I remember what it feels like to be very intimidated in this industry, but I really needed a holster. And now I just try to create opportunity for that in just little pockets all over the country. Oh, you're putting on a range day? Well, here's a bunch of holsters. Let them put their guns through these, feel them, feel how it's supposed to feel, talk to them about a sweat guard, show them all the clip options that come on a holster before they actually get to a website and are going, I don't even know what the right thing to select is. And that's not even education on my part. I just find ways to send it out and support people as much as we can. And then from there, whatever the education past that happens, we're here to support it. So.
No, I definitely love that, because honestly, the process of having to buy your first firearm and then finding the right model holster online and then buying 5, 10, or just no holster at all because you're so confused is a real issue. And what's so great about Eclipse holsters is that when you go on that website, there aren't a whole bunch of options of leather or it's Kydex. It's the standard. And then on top of that, there's bag options, and it's for the everyday woman who would like to carry, whether they carry every day, once a day, only at the range. You provide an opportunity for folks to have exactly what they need, and it's right the first time. So I really appreciate that. And the fact that you're donating to other businesses, it just lets me know that everything that you give definitely comes back tenfold, because you don't have to do that.
Yeah. We, in our shop, we are running 3 different companies, but it's all under one roof and it's all with one big team. So we meet every week and all the leaders get together. And our biggest thing is community over competition. And it actually is for all 3 of our companies. How do we build a community? And it's with all of our customers. It's with the people that we interact with. I actually, for a period of time, thought, I shared this with one of my sons. I was worried that I was not in the place that God wanted me to be. I felt like just recently I have felt that I have such a desire to reach people and to be part of their lives. And I thought, I can't just be stuck in this office because I'm not able, there was a stirring in me, but I didn't really know what to do with it. And then we went to a leadership conference this last fall, and I listened to the speaker, and then I realized we have built something that has access to more people than I'll ever have access to in my entire life.
Yes.
And it happens every single day. And then we shared that same passion with our employees. Now we have an entire team that writes thank you notes to every one of our customers. And we find little ways and little secret ways that we can, like, oh, this person shared this in the notes. What can we send them? And everybody gets together and they get excited about what free gifts we can send them. I realize that we have access to touch lives and bless people through these companies. And it doesn't even have to be with the holster. It doesn't have to be gun related. And then I was like, okay, God, I thank you. I see it, I hear it. And you know what? I'm in the right place. So whatever that looks like, however we can build it, I don't even care if it sounds cheesy, because that's the kind of people we are. We get one life, and ours is really meant to be just kind of getting with people and connecting. And we have built a whole team that believes the same. Touching back on just what you brought up just now with women and not really even sure what firearm they have. That is so common, and it is extremely common with men. We will get emails all the time that say, I have a 9mm. What do you have for it? And the girl that does all of our customer service, she's my longest employee. She's been with me almost 9 years. And she just chuckles because she has to then find a nice way to say, sir, you need to send me a picture of your gun so that I can tell you what you have. And that is what we're just that way. It doesn't, you don't have to know anything. We'll take a picture, we'll look at the thing and we'll tell you, well, that's actually a Glock 19 or whatever, whatever. Because there's a lot of 9mm out there. So we chuckle, we treat everybody with the same kindness, but we are the company. You don't have to know. You don't have to know anything. Just tell us, how can we help you? And we'll figure it out.
And that's beautiful because there's too often in this space, people say something wrong. They say in a magazine, and then you're turned into a joke. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really important. I like how you run your social media and even how you do your ads. There's nothing that sort of pokes fun at people not knowing what they're supposed to know. And customer service is everything. So the fact that you have someone on staff who has been there for a long time, who knows how to handle these situations without making someone feel dumb is really important. Because, I mean, of course, I'm talking to you, but I know and trust that you have employed others who have the same level of integrity so that people aren't shying away from carrying.
Yeah, I think back to so many moments for myself walking into a gun store. I think, had I ever been shamed to my face, I don't know how that would have crushed me, because it takes a lot for me to have to process through that. Now with social media and stuff, I mean, I just don't even, I actually feel like if you're going to leave a bad comment, it's just as good as a good comment because it just boosts my post. So it's okay. But I think about women and like what you said, or even men, it is so shamed and made fun of if you don't know what you don't know. And you know what? Most people don't.
Yeah.
The experts are really in a small part of this field, and then everybody else just wants to carry. And it's okay that you don't know everything about your gun. We'll help you out. We've done a lot of years learning, and I only learned the hard way, so we don't have to do it. But we will never make anybody feel bad. It will never happen. We will, off camera, we might chuckle.
Yeah.
We're never gonna, that's just how you get through your day on customer service. So
no, and that's real and honest, but it's so important that, we have these conversations because oftentimes people don't get to see the person behind the brand. And, I'm so glad that I'm able to use my platform to amplify what you've got going on, because I do support you. And I would love for the people that you come to my platform, whether they've never had a firearm before or they have like 33 firearms. I'd like them at least to get one from you.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, where else can you go to get Spider-Man print holsters? Right. I mean, like, and that's super important, especially for people with style and confidence. They like, something that is completely different from their everyday lifestyle. They like to be able to have a holster that represents a part of their personality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have a lot of ads or like little social media posts that go out that say, like a little meme about making a joke about people that wear colorful socks. Why are you wearing colorful socks? Nobody's going to see them. Yeah. And then we like show a holster, because that's a question that we get all the time. Why would you ever make a holster that has, I don't know, whatever, pizza on it, which we've done? Well, why? I mean, why not? Nobody's going to see it. I know it's so cool. Nobody's going to see it, but you are. And when you pull it out of your thing, you'd be like, this is awesome. And we kind of, without knowing it, we kind of made this cool kind of a repeat customer thing, because we do Christmas prints and Halloween prints. And now everyone's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I needed spider or candy corn holster, but suddenly here I am. And we're like, well, that's what we're here for. So, and really for fun, but also like, this is actually working out pretty well. So yeah.
No, I definitely love that. And I was thinking to myself, like, if everybody had a black holster, and you had all these black clothes, could you find the holster without reaching into the clothes to feel around? Like, I really do like the pops of color. And I don't know, it's definitely more me. For what I would love to just have like a drawer of holsters with all these different prints. And it's like, today I'm feeling the pizza holster. And then I just roll with it. I think that just provides variety because, especially with retention, you definitely need more than one holster after you start getting a little bit more practice, a little bit more reps in with dry fire. It would be helpful to have more than one.
It would. And, really every other part of our day that we wake up, we decide what we're going to wear, all the other things that we put on our body are all different choices.
Yes.
So I have actually seen people with this beautiful, like a glass drawer or plastic drawer, and you like pull it out and it's just all their holsters laid out. So I've seen it done really well. I don't have a holster drawer, but I, can do whatever I want whenever I want with extra things. So, but yeah, why not have options? And can I show you a surprise for you?
Yes.
I love prints. These came in today. So, I have 3 of yours that we will be making holsters for you with the logos. So they just arrived in the box today. I love this one because it shows 2 different hues of purple in it.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. So this is, just shows the excitement of what we could do. Look at your smile. That's what we love to give people.
Yep.
These will be coming for you. We'll be starting to make these tomorrow.
Oh my God, this is beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Like my face hurts.
That's part of the love of what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Not just with me, but with my audience as well, because I knew you were making these, but I was definitely in a toss up, like, okay, when do I tell people?
Oh, I hope I didn't spill it for you, but there you go.
A lot of it is coming from you because this is amazing.
Yep, they just came out of our print box that arrived today, and I thought, well, that's perfect timing. So,
no, I love that. Yes, and that should encourage more people to get out there and get the that they need.
Do your own logos. We can do it.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I love that. I did it first.
Yeah, that's right.
But no, thank you so much for sharing that. You just made my Monday.
Yeah,
that was really nice. Yeah, I'm gonna have a good sleep tonight. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So, just to get back to the questions as we wrap up, how do you see the role of women in the industry, firearms, holsters, accessories in general, evolving over the next 5 years? I know that's a bit of a loaded question, but.
Well, we've seen the evolution already start, right? We're part of it now. We are in what is changing the industry because I forget what the statistic was for last year. New gun owners, like women, made up like 48%. I could be wrong on that number, but there is a significant shift in the industry, and women are saying, I want to be part of it. So I want to speak hopefully to say that more women step up, like what you were describing on the engineering side, on the design side. I have personally seen 2 female companies that were just doing sort of a concealed carry page and showing outfits. Now they've launched their own clothing. One launched brand new bag. That excites me so much. So the evolution and what I'm excited to be part of now and where it's moving forward. First of all, I think it's just constantly, as women, we already know how much we need each other. And so to not be competitive against each other, but to sort of be competitive with each other, to have a vision to change this industry together. And I think that we can do that. It's a pretty fierce wave of what's happening right now. And I'm excited that we're seeing it. So I hope over the next 5 years, instructors like what you're doing, more women instructors are rising up. I know personally, it is a lot easier to take lessons from another female or somebody not your husband. That's a good tip. Not your husband. You're automatically defensive when it's your spouse. So find somebody in your community who also will teach you the same valuable things, but does it at a level where it's like a little calmer, or I always joke and say, well, I speak whatchamathingy. What's that thing on the side? I always forget. What's the, like the slide lock or whatever. I speak that language. You don't have to know. So
Yes.
find somebody who's also willing to teach that way. And I just want to call up women all over the country and say, you're needed. I didn't know I had a passion for it until I got into it. And then I love it. And we just kind of breathe life into that everywhere we go. And that's what I want to keep seeing. I want to keep seeing the voice of women be just as considered to be just as valuable. We already know our voice is valuable, but to be heard and to be listened to, and to even, and I know we're talking a lot about holsters, but I think women, when it comes to self-defense of any kind, whether it be having pepper spray or carrying a flashlight, just simply not having your phone in your face when you're walking someplace. All of us speaking that and surrounding each other with that. That's where I want to see it going. And I truly believe it is headed that way. And I'm just here to be part of everything, anything that we can possibly be part of, and raising our daughters that way. I have one daughter who I don't think she'll ever want to own her own gun. But I tell you what, you do not want to meet her in a parking lot, because she has been taught all the other ways. And man, her head is on a swivel, and there is no conditioned white, and they're watching and listening, and it's not living in fear. It's living in, I will never be a victim.
Yes. And awareness.
Plus to even have that conversation with other people. I think there's families all over that have never, ever, ever even thought that way. And I don't think it's wrong to think that way. I think it's wrong to sort of like fester on that, but train them right, raise them to be, aware. Just being aware could keep you safe. So,
no, yes, all the things. Yes, I'm just gonna clap. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I think you're going to be part of it. I mean, you're already part of it, but man,
I'm proud to have answered the call. I really am. And to be on this path alongside you, ensuring that women are empowered to defend themselves and protect themselves, no matter what their weapon of choice is. Because at the end of the day, our physical bodies are our first line of defense. Before we pick up any tool, our own two hands and our voices are our first weapons.
Right.
So I love to continue to empower women through speaking engagements and interviews just like this, where we can remind women that no matter what you decide to do, you are capable of protecting yourself. And you should.
You should. Yeah, I think education is such a sharp tool. And to continue educating, like what you're doing, to continue getting that word out, making it more common to talk about. Even just one simple conversation you might have with a friend in passing could save them from a situation. So you never have to get close to a gun, but you just changing the conversation even. So you have a big role in that.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad to just be on this path. I'm still beaming from that announcement.
Well, I might have let the bag slip, but I was too excited to not show you on camera.
I'm really thankful that, things sort of align so that could happen, because, the future of women in firearms, it looks just like this, where we team up, we're working together, we're not pulling each other down or talking about each other or talking about others. We're literally uplifting one another. And then we're also providing opportunities for each other to, have a certain spotlight on what we're doing in our own, different lanes. And it's not taking away from anything that we're doing. In fact, it's a God-given opportunity.
Right. Yeah. There's a Thomas Jefferson quote, and I don't even know why I'm bringing it up, because I'm not going to remember how it really goes, but it's something to the effect of like how many lights you can start with one tiny flicker of your candle. If you hide it, you don't light anybody else's candle. But if you share your light and then like just like kind of the growth, and I'm butchering, it's not anywhere near as beautiful as it was quoted, but that is the idea. Because we need each other. At the very bottom of it, all we want to do is to be able to relate. And we usually relate in our mistakes, much more than anything any perfection that we have. That's not relatable. So telling about your story, finding out where our people are at the very base of learning anything, and then that's where we can all connect and then grow together. So you light my candle, I'm lighting yours. We're gonna cause a forest fire.
Yeah. We're gonna shine together. Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
No, thank you so much for even just like expounding on that. Because when people support other women-owned businesses, especially in the firearm space, it helps also to highlight how important it is for us to actually show up. Because that's how those changes happening, especially on the engineering side of things. The more we show up for each other, the more it could seem like more of a priority to create and design firearm self-defense tools for women. Otherwise, it's just like, well, women don't want to carry. Women have partners to protect themselves, when that's just really not the case. And the data says otherwise, you know?
Yeah. No, before I got on with you today, I didn't make it to my gym class that I usually go to because of the time. So I thought, oh, I'll just go running, which I hate, but I'm trying to get back into. Anyways, I went to a trail that's public.
Yeah.
My husband was coming later, and I was standing there getting my little thing on where I could put my phone in it. And I was thinking how interesting it is that he and I are going to approach this trail with a very different mindset. I keep one earbud out, but I really like to listen to something. And I am always like, because you're tucked into the trees and it just goes for miles into the trees. And I feel unsafe or just kind of like a heightened awareness until I get back to my vehicle. And he's just like, like he doesn't ever even think about it, which is great. But we are, it's a whole different mindset. It's a whole different world that we're entering as women than it is that the men face. And so we need it to each other.
And I don't mean to get emotional, but you mentioned the trail, and I immediately thought about a friend that I lost who ran on a trail. And a lot of what I do to empower women to feel safe in any physical activities that they like to do outdoors is because of how I found out about losing her.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
We lost her December 15th, 2018. Her name was Chantrell Monroe. We played volleyball and track together. And I won't get into all the details of how she lost her life. But a large part of how I show up in this space is to ensure that women who want to go to the Olympics, she was a track star. Women who want to compete in sports and would like to continue conditioning themselves outdoors, they should feel safe going outdoors in these spaces. They should never feel like there's a different time of day that they have to go in order to feel safe. And if anything does occur, they should feel consistently empowered by the women in this space to have what they need to protect themselves if there is a threat.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, I thank you for even bringing that up. I'm not sad or anything, but it was sort of like a full circle moment because with me doing a lot of, I have started to run too, and I have a dog, and I've done a lot of training for situational awareness for myself at night, and I've been thinking a lot about her lately, and that just took me back for a second and realized, like, you know, a lot of this work is to ensure that women don't have to experience those type of situations.
Right. Yeah, I think we all probably have a personal story like that, and I'm glad that you mentioned her. And it's so sad to know what has happened to, you know, women all over the world. But I want to change that for myself, for my children. I want to change that. Like I in my mind, in my brain, I just know that I will, you know, everything I could possibly do. I'll never put myself in a situation like that, like where I would hope to never be a victim. And then what am I going to do in that situation? So, and yeah, we just can't you don't always know. But I don't know, it was interesting standing there at this trail thinking, it's just, I don't think men ever even have to have these thoughts in their head, you know,
No.
or why wouldn't you run with both AirPods in? Because I
Yeah.
always want to hear if somebody's coming up behind me or somebody's around
Yes.
me. Just, yeah, anyways.
But thank you. Thank
Mhm.
you. Because that's something that we don't really talk about often. And I'm so glad that we got to touch on it a little bit. Just to empower women, like fear is not the way to enter the
Right.
life of firearms ownership. It should only be empowerment. And, you know, women like you and the work that you do is definitely helping raise up a new standard of what it looks like to be a caring, woman-owned business.
I love that. Thank you.
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to be different. So,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming. If you could leave every woman watching with one powerful message, what would it be?
Love yourself. We're the hardest on ourselves and we're the loudest voice we ever hear. We're the most constant voice we ever hear. I think I would never tell my friends the things that I tell myself. So at the end of the day, we are needed. We are so fiercely powerful. We need each other, but you need you.
Yes.
You are important. You are beautiful. You are worthy. I am. You are.
Yes.
And I'm trying to change the understanding that this is going to be the loudest voice I ever hear in my whole life. And how do I change it to also believe in myself the way I am saying I believe in other people? So that's my love for women. We are gentle and tender and caring and absolutely wearing blue paint and a kilt with a sword when we have to be.
Yes.
And both are beautiful. So yeah, but be kind and gentle to yourself. So
Thank you so much. What an incredible conversation, Jessica. Thank you for sharing your journey, insights, and wisdom with us tonight. It's always inspiring to hear from women who are making waves in this industry and paving the way for others. For those of you watching, don't forget, we're still celebrating Women's History Month with our giveaway. So if you want to win a custom holster and magazine pouch set from Eclipse Holsters, make sure you like, comment, and share the original event flyer on Instagram or this live stream. We'll be choosing winners from these usernames, so don't miss your chance. And if you love this conversation, be sure to subscribe, like, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. You can also follow Eclipse Holsters and check out their amazing products at eclipseholsters.com. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure that you stay connected because we have so much more in store for you. Stay empowered and stay safe. Thank you.